I'm going to welcome our final guest, Frank Luntz here, close observer of politics both here and in the US, political strategist, US pollster. I could go on, but I won't. Welcome. You've given a speech this week in London, and as part of your speech, you are worried, fearful that the UK is following the same downward trajectory, you say, as the US. Explain.
We are so divided. We can't talk to each other. We can't do focus groups with each other. Republicans and Democrats cannot be in the same room with each other without tearing each other apart. We see it in politics, the most negative campaign off your election that we've ever had in American history. And I'm nervous that the same kind of divisions are going to happen here in the UK. You are much more civil. You're more decent in the work that we've done for the Center for Policy Studies. We have seen a willingness of the left and the right to work together, a willingness to come together. And by the way, any chance I have to appear with Mr. Blunkett, this is a privilege. This is, when I found out you were on the show, I absolutely had to be on. We may not agree on anything, but you are a great public servant for this country.
It's very kind of you.
And we don't have that anymore. We don't have this reaching across the aisle.
But why are you so fearful it might happen here, then?
Because you are following it, because of what happens at Cambridge. I had the chance to teach at Radley College, and there wasn't a single woke professor, not any woke students, but it's happening all across the country. Cancel culture, the idea that there's something wrong with you based on your gender or your age or your race. And it is this country that started the great debates, and we have to continue that.
David, are you as fearful?
Well, thank you for the tremendous compliment. Yeah, I am fearful. I think that it relates to our earlier, or the discussion you were having on online harms, because I think the internet's made a big difference to the nature of the dialogue and the interchange. I hope that we can get off the culture wars and the identity politics, that those who respond to those who start are committing a really dangerous act. And the sooner we get back to actually being able to genuinely disagree with each other, as Nikki Morgan and I do all the time, in a way that is respectful, the more we will teach young people that they can be active citizens and they can understand other people's point of view and disagree properly. I
mean, one of the perhaps most shocking things we witnessed last year were those images of the storming of the Capitol building. Did you ever think that could happen?
No, and it's 7 blocks from where I live in Washington, D.C. And I was actually walking in that direction, and my office is texting me saying, get away from there. That what your viewers see right now, I couldn't see from my vantage point. And I even saw a woman with a sign that says, Republicans don't riot. Well, guess what? They do. And this is the ugliness that the politics have. It's now part of society, and it is grievance politics. It is victimization politics, all that language. And David is right that both sides are responsible. It's not just a problem of the right. It's not just a problem of the left. It's all of us not treating each other with respect, with dignity, and with civility.
Do you think it could go that far, Rachel?
I think you've got to draw a distinction between the divisions in politics and the divisions in society. I mean, there was a poll out this week that shows that actually the majority of British people are very proud and very pleased of the diversity in our society. There was a poll out, I think, a year ago that showed that the majority of the public don't actually know what the word woke means. It's tossed around by politicians and pundits on shows like this, but actually it doesn't really impact people's daily lives. The culture wars, they exist. I'm not going to deny that the very fierce divisions and the very fierce polarization. But I do think that they are something that politicians, yes, on both sides, but generally those who are in power, use in order to distract the public from the very real economic problems that they're not solving. It's very easy for this government to say, look at what the silly students are doing on universities, focus on that. Don't focus on the fact that your energy bills have shot up and you can't afford food.
I think one of the big problems is that identity and ideas have become very confused, so that when we disagree with each other, and I think we're all to a greater or lesser extent guilty of this, when someone disagrees with you, you feel that your identity, that who you are, is being attacked. And I think we all need to become more grown up about saying, look, you can disagree with my ideas, you can challenge me, tell me why I'm wrong, maybe I can even change my mind and I'll still be me. I can still feel confident in who I am. And I think this underlies a lot of the really big problems and divisions and fragmentation that we're seeing.
And not everything should be about politics. No. You're correct. It is about quality of life. It's about standard of living. Inflation is damning for people, food and fuel. So is the crime rate. So is challenges of immigration, of NHS waiting lists. These are all legitimate, serious problems. But when you demonize people and dehumanize them in that conversation, it is impossible to solve it.
Rachel? And even in a liberal California, and I was there a month ago, you'll understand this very well. I was horrified to have described to me what's in the backs of cars about the comments on politicians, including the president, and what I got in taxis and Ubers. Even in California, that anger, that bitterness, that grievance is coming through. I was really taken aback by it.
Right. I mean, Nikki, do you think there is a sense, though, of what Rachel indicated, that sometimes politicians are weaponising these issues, that they are being used, that actually that anger is being stoked almost because you are sort of mobilising your base in that sense? Has that happened?
I don't think it's happened completely over here, and I think actually the funny thing is on the local campaigning, people don't do that. Politicians of all sides just get out on the doorsteps and talk to their voters. But I think there is a real danger that people think that nationally elections are won by, as you say, finding wedge issues and thinking about what divides us rather than unites us. I think the point that Rachel made is very important, though, that there is a difference between what's happening in politics and what's happening in society. I don't think Twitter has been great for politics and political conversations. David's completely right that he and I can agree to disagree on things in a perfectly civilised way, and I can with lots of people from different viewpoints. But I think we should remember that Twitter is not the country. And actually, when you go out into the country, people are much more respectful. Yeah, I've had my problems, but overall, people want to debate and engage. I don't see those divisions. But you have to guard against them. Of course you do.
Frank?
I think social media is a poison. I think it's toxic. My issue with Twitter, and I use it, and I'm on it, is how do you have a serious debate when you get 140 characters, or if you're lucky, 280? How do you have any kind of substantial conversation? And thank God for the BBC, by the way.
Oh, well, on that positive note, we're going to end the programme. Thank you to all our guests. Bye-bye.